The final day of the NASCAR season for 2009 saw Jimmie Johnson and Mark Martin vying for the NASCAR Sprint Cup Championship. The odds pretty well stacked in the favor of Team 48. After 400 miles at the Homestead Miami Speedway, Jimmie Johnson would add a fourth consecutive title to the three he's earned the last 3 years.
It's going to take a little bit for it to sink in, but just to think of what this team's accomplished the year that we've had to be the champion, it's everything I've ever wanted to be. It's been a long, long time since I won a championship.
You guys are awesome. Thank you, boys. We're going to tear it up tonight. Rock and roll, buddy.
Hopefully we come back next year and can do it again.
Jimmie Johnson makes history.
Way to go, guys. Damn, that's awesome. I'm proud of you guys. Awesome, awesome year, boys.
The anticipation of seeing NASCAR history made led up to Sunday night's Ford 400 at the Homestead Miami Speedway. We were not disappointed as Jimmie Johnson hoisted the championship trophy for a fourth consecutive year, the only man in the 61-year history of NASCAR racing to ever do so. And welcome inside the ESPN pit studio, Alan Bestwick, Rusty Wallace, Ray Evernham, and the champ 4 times in a row, Jimmie Johnson. Congratulations.
Thank you, guys.
Again.
Thank you so much. Just unbelievable. I can't wait to actually go home and watch all the playback of things because I've completely removed myself of all media over the last few weeks. And I just can't wait to see all this and allow those feelings to come in.
How about we look at a couple highlights from the race so you can at least see a little of it and tell us what you were going
there's
through?
a couple good ones to
Yeah,
watch.
there are a couple good ones. The trophy on the line at the head end of the grid as the field lined up for 400 miles. Jimmie Johnson starting in the best place he could on the pole. Mark Martin trying to keep Jimmie from that championship. Jimmie got some bonus points early.
I did. It was important to lead a lap early. Then once we caught traffic, I didn't really feel like racing through traffic because everybody's going to fight so hard, so I let the 14 go.
Now, there was times in traffic where Jimmie didn't feel like necessarily maybe his competitors were giving him all the slack he deserved.
New water down to Boyer's spotter and ask him why.
Yes, sir. On my way. Don't worry about it, Earl. We don't need to be starting that right now.
I'm starting anything. I mean, it's the guys that come up and shake my hand and say they want to work with me. And I'm so much faster, and I end up being disrespected like this. One thing if you ran the same line the whole time, but to come down and get on my door through the center of the corner through 3 and 4 3 times when I was inside of them, that's just a call for it.
Fair to say it was a little tense at times tonight?
It was. And clearly, there were some hand gestures that followed, and then everything seemed to work out. But I just was a little miffed at the time.
A couple highlights. Here's one of the interesting ones that you haven't seen yet, champ. Juan Pablo Montoya gets a run off turn 4, a little bump in the back of Tony Stewart. So now when they come off of turn 2, there's another bump.
Tony Stewart makes a hard left, hits Montoya, blows his right front tire out, and watch this, Montoya up in the wall, tears the car up big time.
Goes to the garage, would return about 25 laps or so later with some damage. More on that in a second. Under caution here, lap 117, Jimmie pits from 5th, but ends up 23rd after the restart. We'll get back to you on that in just a second, champ. Here's the payback.
Yeah, I saw that coming.
Obviously didn't fix the brakes properly on that 42 car.
Yeah, that was it, yeah. Montoya penalized a couple laps by NASCAR for rough driving. Interesting moments in traffic.
Yes, traffic was tough. On new tires, you wanted to be on the bottom, and it worked. But as soon as somebody broke your momentum, that outside lane would just surge by, and you'd lose 4 or 5 spots every time.
Eventually, the herd thinned. Jimmie passing Jeff Gordon here for 7th place. He ends up in 5th position. Denny Hamlin takes the checkered flag as the race winner, but the real history was in 5th place.
My God, I can't believe it. History, boys. No one ever.
Jimmie Johnson with the 4th consecutive championship, celebrating with his team, getting congratulations from teammate Mark Martin, who wound up 2nd in points. Yep, 4 in a row for Jimmie and his team. So the results of Sunday night's race, the guy that wins the season finale, always overlooked by the championship, but nice run for Denny Hamlin. Jeff Burton as well, a solid drive.
Oh, absolutely. The RCR cars are back. 2nd and 3rd place finish. Great run for those guys.
But the headliner on the day was the guy who finished 5th and 1st on the season, Jimmie Johnson, here with us in the studio. Your race tonight, at times a little tense in traffic. When you got out of the car and we interviewed you there, you looked a little worn out.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing easy about winning a championship.
Yeah.
You know, I found a lot of. It was very helpful to focus on my job, on driving the race car, and we had a very good car, and I feel that we had a car that was capable of winning the race. So I really tried staying focused on those things, and I did a very good job of not hearing rattles or hearing an engine sounding different or worrying about vibrations and things like that. So the last 3 years have helped me plan and prepare, but you know, with all of that in mind, yeah, I still had some anxious moments, and it was probably a little more animated than I needed to be at times.
Yeah, a lot of tight situations out there. How hard was it to be careful, keep yourself reined back so you don't jump up in there and get in some possible disaster?
It's tough, and especially the door-to-door stuff. You know, on the bottom of the racetrack, it's so easy for somebody to suck you around on the outside. This track has aged well. It's lost some grip. You know, and you get 2-3 wide as we are here going in the corner. You're just hopeful that you have some room around you, and you know, everybody's going to use their head.
We heard Chad say it, and you say how good that car was. On that pit stop that you and Mark came out, you came out 23rd, he came out 24th. Your car cut through traffic. It was really sharp. Did we ever really get to see how fast that thing was today?
You know, I'd say the last 3 runs, we were showing our hand. The last run I was a little too loose, and it worked well over the long haul. I think I had 3 or 4 tenths of a second on the 11 car when it was all said and done. But the 2 runs before that, that's what I had. If we had come out a little better on the pit stops, been up in that first row or second row, we would have gone forward at that point.
Rick Hendrick told us that 8 short years ago, he was loaning you money for a hamburger. And now you've won 4 championships, and this year you won over $14 million. What are you thinking about that right now?
I realized it was that much. That's great. Hopefully my wife doesn't hear about it.
Oh, yeah.
No, I just can't believe what we've accomplished.
So fast, right?
In such a short period of time. I mean, if you look at, you know, from when I've started in Cup, the worst we have finished is 5th in the points. The 4 championships, you know, I don't know where it came from. I had always hoped and thought that I had the ability to go out and do this type of stuff. Well, that's kind of a lie. I'd always hoped that I could win a race, and I always hoped that I could compete for a championship. I had no clue it was going to turn into this. So I'm just as blown away as anyone else, and so thankful for the opportunity and humbled by it, and excited to keep going. I mean, we're rolling. I want to keep it up.
Wow. 4 championships in a row already, and he wants to keep it up. We'll talk about that when we continue with Jimmy a little bit later on in the show. But on Sunday night in Homestead, Florida, championship history for NASCAR. 61 years, first man ever to win 4 consecutive championships. Let's bring in NASCAR Now lead reporter Marty Smith now from out by the celebration stage. Marty, one member of the championship team wasn't here tonight.
Indeed, Alan, that being team owner Rick Hendrick. He was unable to be here this evening because his niece, Alicia Gainey, 29 years old, the lone surviving daughter of his brother, John Hendrick, was in critical condition today, awaiting surgery for a liver transplant. I asked Marshall Carlson, the general manager for Hendrick Motorsports, after the race if he had an update, and he told me that he did get an update during the race that said she was in surgery, and doctors said it was going as planned. That's the latest news that we have on that. But of course, Rick Hendrick definitely wanted to be here. He sent the message to every employee at Hendrick that he's behind them and with them, but he needed to be with his family today.
Marty Smith, thank you for the update. We will talk to you a little bit later on in the show.
Got it.
Coming up on the celebration edition of NASCAR Now, Mark Martin's season might have literally turned on that Talladega flip. We'll talk about Mark next.
NASCAR Now, brought to you by Captain Morgan Original Spiced Rum. Drink responsibly. Captain's orders.
Let's talk about the season of Mark Martin. First year with Hendrick Motorsports, 5 wins and a career-high 7 poles. But he failed to finish 4 races, including the 2 at Talladega. The second of them in October may have been the one that turned his season literally upside down. That wreck right there. Mark tonight at Homestead finished 12th, finished the season 2nd in points, 141 down to the champion, Jimmy Johnson. So for Mark Martin, 2009, a great campaign, not completely the outcome he was looking for. Mike Massaro joins us now from over in the garage area where he's been on the Mark Martin beat all day. Michael?
That's right, Alan. And after this race, you might imagine that Mark Martin might be beside himself. After all, it was the 5th time in his career he was the runner-up in the championship race. But that was not the case. Despite struggling throughout the course of the afternoon with his race car and coming up short yet again, the last thing he was looking for after the race was sympathy.
Thank you to everybody, Kellogg's, CarQuest, Chevrolet, and everybody that supported us. Incredible fan support, just made me feel almost emotional, and then the competitors were just the same way, overwhelming. I don't have one of those trophies, don't know what it would feel like, but to me, what the fans and the competitors gave me was worth more.
You came into today knowing that you had to put a big number up on the board. You had to finish as high as you possibly could. It seemed that you struggled a little bit with the car. What was going on tonight?
The car didn't really turn good enough, and in the beginning of the race, the track was so slick that the back end wouldn't stick either. And Alan, you know, he wanted to go for it. Boy, going to the back. The pack there to make an adjustment to try to make the car better was pretty risky. But we fought like we have fought every time, and actually the last run the car was fairly sporty. It was the best it was all night, and we passed a lot of cars. We went from 23rd or 21st or something like that to 10th, and then lost 2 spots right there at the end. And it was a good job. Alan Gustafson is just he's a genius. He's so much smarter than me, it's just pitiful. So I usually just keep my mouth shut whenever he's talking.
The man who did win the championship claimed an unprecedented 4th consecutive title. Where do you see Jimmy Johnson's place in history?
I think when we look back on this, when we get down the road a piece, you know, those guys aren't done yet. And, you know, I picked a pretty tough year to try to win a championship. You know, I'm so proud of what we accomplished, but to beat the 48 right now, I don't know how you're going to do it. You know, those guys are just on it, especially when the chase comes out.
Following the race in the media center, Mark Martin was probed for more emotion, but he was adamant. He said, "I'm not frustrated." Write that down. I'm absolutely not frustrated. We outworked and out-accomplished every team in this garage except for one. Martin also added that this is the first time in a long time that he's not happy the season is over, although he did point out that he's looking forward to wiping the slate clean and starting over again in 2010. Alan?
All right, Michael, thank you. You heard Mike's quoting on what Mark Martin said in the media center. So looking back on 2009, Mark Martin would consider this season a success more than a failure, yes?
Absolutely. 5 wins, a big success, no doubt about that. I know he didn't win the championship. He got awful close, but he told us going into it, you know, he wasn't really expecting to go for a championship. A couple years ago, he was only running a partial schedule. Now, I think that's all going to change next year. I think he'll go for it next year.
Oh, certainly. He cannot look back and be disappointed. I mean, even though he will, knowing Mark. But if you look at, he led the regular season with wins and with poles and what they did for a first-year team. The difference he made at Hendrick Motorsports, he brought the 5 team up. He's given Alan Gustafson and those guys experience now and confidence that they're a championship-caliber team.
So what do they have to do differently next year to move up one more spot in the standings? Just not getting a wreck at Talladega?
Score more points than the 48.
Yeah. In all seriousness, that was really the big difference in Mark's season.
Well, you know, Talladega, that was a big swing in points for Jimmy and for Mark. You know, you hate to throw things up at luck. The 48 car is good, had a lot of depth, but Mark had some bad luck, especially you go back to even early in the season, they got into some wrecks.
And had some unexpected problems. So Mark Martin will move on next year and try again.
He'll try again because in my mind, he almost had a perfect year. I mean, with the 5 wins and leading that many laps and this team so strong week after week, I mean, just a little bit of tuning and a little bit of luck, and we know we all love luck. Maybe keep himself out of some of those wrecks and get his very first title.
So second place for Mark Martin in the championship, 141 points behind Jimmy Johnson, a 12th place finish on Sunday night at Homestead. But again, tremendous season for the 5 team, according to Mark and everyone else. Coming up next, Chad Knaus thanking Rick Hendrick. At the end of the day, he's going to come in the studio and talk to us about winning a 4th consecutive title.
Open up the history books, folks. On a November night in 2009, Jimmy Johnson is a 4-time Cup winner.
My God, I can't believe it. History, boys. No one ever. Thank you. Chad, you rock, brother.
The Jimmy Johnson and the 48 team can now be put into the class of other iconic teams to complete the four-peat. 26 years ago, the New York Islanders capped off their run of 4 straight Stanley Cup titles. Following year, the Islanders reached the finals again. Their bid for 5 in a row fell short in a loss to Wayne Gretzky and the Oilers. Chad Knaus, Jimmy Johnson and company get to start again at Daytona and try for their 5-peat. But for this weekend, it's celebrating NASCAR history 4 in a row. Chad Knaus now ties Kirk Shelmerdine for second all-time as most crew chief championships with 4 apiece. But he's first on the list as the only NASCAR crew chief ever to win 4 championships in a row. He joins us now in the pit studio. Congratulations. History. Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And it's a neat accomplishment. It's very special to be a part of what we've got going on right now. You know, Jimmy is truly my best friend, you know, and to be able to show up at the racetrack each week and race with him and go out there and attack the competition in the manner in which we do is a lot of fun. It's a privilege to be a part of it with what we've got from Lowe's and Hendrick Motorsports. It's just an awesome environment right now, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I really am. I've got a lot of special people to work with me, and you know, I just got to say thanks to all of them. It's just fantastic.
Chad, you look like you're a very gifted person when it comes to working with your team and getting the work together. Is there any concerns now, after you've had so much success and 4 championships, to keeping this team together so you can go for 5?
I think that there's always headhunters out there. There's always people trying to pull your team in different directions. And I'll be honest with you, if somebody comes up to one of our guys and they approach them for a crew chief job or a car chief job, or if it's something that's going to benefit our guys, I will gladly take any one of those gentlemen that work for me or ladies and say, yes, go take your opportunity. If that's truly what you want to do, go do it, because I had to have that opportunity. I had to do it with Ray. And I would never, ever hold anybody back. But I think that what we've done is we've established a good nucleus. And I ran out of room. I could get without all on the same line there. But we've established a good nucleus, you know, with Ron Malik and Greg Ives and a lot of those guys. And we expect some turnover because, you know, people move up within our company, and we have to inject new people. So as those new people come in, our core group of guys, they teach them the way, and they understand the mentality of the 48. So if we lose a few people, that's fine. I think that we can come back next year and battle for this thing. But honestly, you know, we can't even begin to think about the 2010 championship. We have to worry about Daytona and qualifying and all that stuff first.
Well, first, as a friend and former teammate, I just want to let you know I am incredibly proud of you and what you've done. I'm going to tell you, this guy has worked and worked and worked. When I hired him, he came in and I said, well, what do you want 5 years from now? He said, I want your job. I thought that was so cool. I hired him on the spot. Not only has he got the job, he's doing it way better than I did it. I got to ask you something. Tonight, though, you know,
The 2 questions coming into the season finale at Homestead Miami Speedway were, would we see history made and would we see records fall? The answers are yes and yes. Let's talk about the records first. Denny Hamlin picks up a record 4th win in 2009, and for the first time ever, Toyota wins here at Homestead Miami Speedway. And guys, he did it on the track and in the pits.
Yeah, started way back in 38th, but was very patient in working his way to the front, and when he got there, he didn't want to give that up. Could be a prelude of what we could see. Somebody going to challenge Jimmy Johnson for the title next year.
And give his pit crew credit. Sub 13-second stops all night long kept him out front.
And Jimmy Johnson came here wanting to make history, and indeed he would do that. When the day began, Johnson had a 108-point lead, and the mandate was just stay out of trouble and be easy here throughout. You got to finish 25th or better.
Yeah, but that's a lot easier said than done. I mean, we could talk about it all we wanted, but he found himself in the middle of a lot of 3-wide racing. He even took his chance and took 3 wide and made it himself. But he did a great job on the racetrack all night long with a really good car.
And his pit crew was so solid. They didn't set any records on pit road, but they did have solid pit stops, and that's all they needed. They didn't need to beat anybody here on pit road. They actually won this championship coming in. They didn't need to try to make anything happen tonight. They just needed to preserve this championship, and they did a great job.
Jimmy, had a solid 5th place finish. Said he could have had a car that maybe would have won the race, but he was more focused on winning the championship and making history, not only for his team, but for Hendrick Motorsports, because it is a 1-2-3 finish for Hendrick. It has never been done by a single owner.
I think it just shows the strength of this organization. These guys all work together. They made it happen this year. They ran tremendously. They battled it between themselves.
Yeah, and they've put it really on the rest of the competitors that this is the team to beat. You're going to have to be very, very good because they have really thrown it down here.
And so for the first time in the 61-year history of NASCAR, Jimmie Johnson has become a 4-time winner, 4 consecutive championships in the NASCAR Sprint Cup.
Gentlemen, thank you. We rejoin now NASCAR Now lead reporter Marty Smith with more reaction on a history-making night for Hendrick Motorsports. Marty?
Definitely a history-making night, Alan, on so many counts, one of which being no team in history had ever finished 1, 2, 3 in the points. Of course, Hendrick Motorsports does that tonight with Jimmie Johnson, Mark Martin, and Jeff Gordon. That just truly speaks to the dominance of this organization and just how far ahead they are of the competition.
Man, what can you say? You know, 1, 2, 3, Hendrick Motorsports, that's incredible. You know, just when you think you've seen everything, a guy goes out and wins 4 in a row, and then Hendrick finishes 1, 2, 3 in the points. I'm really proud to be a part of it.
I know the garage really respects what they have done and really realize how hard it is for that to happen. To win a championship in this sport is 4 times in a row is something that's pretty remarkable. But I think it's time for the fans to give the credit that he deserves. And he is our most dominant, that is the most dominant team that we have sitting in this garage, and they deserve that respect.
Those guys have been the standard. They haven't made mistakes, and you know, that's who we ultimately want to be, is the guys that are dominating force like them. And I think we're showing that we have that strength to compete with those guys. It's just they've done a phenomenal job. 4 in a row for them. Couldn't be happier for them. I mean, there's no more deserving champion than them.
If you'd have told me 4 years ago somebody won four championships in a row, I'd tell you you're crazy, because the 29 cars finished in the lead lap tonight. That's how competitive it is, what we do. And to win 4 championships in a row is, you know, I didn't think anybody would be able to do that.
To hear all those drivers talk about how great Hendrick Motorsports is truly speaks to that dominance. Now, you heard Denny Hamlin was one of those people speaking. I talked to Denny in Victory Lane this evening about that Hendrick dominance and whether or not that 11 car was up to the task of dethroning them. Denny Hamlin looked me right in the eye and said, without a doubt. So, Alan, maybe 2010's the year that somebody knocks them off that throne.
Words of praise for the champion, Jimmie Johnson, on his 4th consecutive title. Hearing that praise from your peers makes you think what?
Makes me feel good. I mean, hearing from Mark Martin, Jeff Gordon, you know, Chad's great words, it's really cool. And I've eliminated the whole media thing for the last 3 or 4 weeks and really through the whole chase. So I'm excited to go back and read some of the articles. And I understand there's been some really nice things said and written and on television, and a great piece, you know, to open up this morning. So I look forward to going back and seeing it all.
Richard Petty never did it. Dale Earnhardt never did it. Jeff Gordon, Darrell Waltrip, Cale Yarborough never did what you accomplished this season with your team. How do you react to that?
It's awesome. It is so cool. You know, I've respected the sport. I respect what you know, the pioneers that have built this thing, what they've done, and thankful to be a part of it. And to do something that's never been done before means the world to me. You know, I've just thankful to have the opportunities that I've had, and I feel that there's a lot of great years left and a lot of great things this team can still accomplish. But right now, to do something that's never been done before is, I mean, it's the ultimate.
I really generally dislike the question about asking multiple champions to compare championships. But I'm going to ask it anyway. Does this one feel different somehow than some of the others?
It does. When I look back, I'm really proud of the maturity of myself and the team and how we really the pressure was there, but we managed pressure and stress in a very, very good way. And I think the most evident, or the best example of that would be showing up in Phoenix and knowing that we had to step up and kind of going to be judged at that point on what we're made of. And we needed to send a message to the 5 car and to the garage what we can do. And to show up and be calm and cool, qualify well, lead as many laps, win the race. You know, moments like that, I saw a lot of them throughout the chase. And that's the stuff that's different this year that we didn't have before. We had the tools and we had the speed, but we were a little frazzled in situations. This year we were very, very smooth and calculated.
From the moment you won the championship a year ago, you knew you had one opportunity at history.
Yeah.
You either won it or not this year. And it's not an easy thing to do, to win a Sprint Cup Series championship, despite how you and your team are making it look. How much did you carry that with you throughout this year?
You know, it became a reality to me when I was on stage and Cale was there and said, "You can win 4, but just don't do it next year." And at that moment, I thought, man, I guess we really do have a shot at doing something here. And of course, a lot had to take place over the year to make it all happen. But I mean, it's just amazing. I don't even know where I was going with my comments, but Cale put it in perspective what was possible at that point, and we buckled down and got it done.
No one accomplishes anything alone. You and this team started from scratch together, and now you are the sports dynasty, having accomplished what no one else has. Brag on your team for a second. Together, you guys have come from nothing to really being something.
Yeah, and what's really cool is a lot of us started this team together. So it's us. It's an extension of us. People that have been on the road crew or have been a part of the 48, they're still within Hendrick or in different spots. It's so great to see their faces and to share this moment with everybody, because we feel like, and we created this together. It's been the same driver, same crew chief, bulk of the same crew, and this is our baby. We're so proud of what we've done, and I wouldn't be here without all of their great work and dedication. Starting with Mr. Hendrick and what he asks and what he gives us to work with, all the way down through mechanics at the shop.
In racing, people don't like when guys win a lot. It's been universal for as long as I've been around the sport, over 25 years, winning championship after championship. I know you've heard the comments from some of the fans, the anybody but Jimmy club that's out there. Yet when you climbed out of your car Sunday night, there was a tremendous ovation from the grandstands for what you had accomplished. How'd you react to that?
Man, it gave me goosebumps. I'm so thankful that the fans can respect the fact that we made history. And to me, I mean, our sport needs fans, and I need to be booed, and the fans for everybody. I mean, it's just how it is. It's what makes our sport goes around. And I'm a sports fan, and I'll go to a game, and I'll boo the other team, and I'll cheer for my team. I get that aspect of it. Yeah. But the fact that they cheered and the respect that comes from what we've accomplished, man, it gave me goosebumps, and that's all I'm after. I just want to be respected for the hard work I've put in and what we've accomplished.
Respect it is. 4 consecutive championships. Jimmy Johnson, thank you. Congratulations. History made on Sunday in South Florida. Still to come on NASCAR Now, the contact, the recontact, and the payback between Tony Stewart and Juan Pablo Montoya. We'll get into that next as the celebration continues. From NASCAR history being made, Jimmy Johnson's 4th championship in a row. Monday Night Football this week is from Houston as Vince Young leads the Titans into town to take on the Texans. It is ESPN's Monday Night Football, 8:30 Eastern Time. Coverage begins with Monday Night Countdown, served by Applebee's at 7 Eastern. Now, earlier in the program, when we were bringing you our conversation with Chad Knaus, we had some technical difficulties. We bring you that conversation now, beginning with the moment when we congratulated Chad on his championships.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, and it's a neat accomplishment. It's very special to be a part of what we've got going on right now. Jimmy is truly my best friend, and to be able to show up at the racetrack each week and race with him and go out there and attack the competition in the manner in which we do is a lot of fun. It's a privilege to be a part of it with what we've got from Lowe's and Hendrick Motorsports. It's just an awesome environment right now, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I really am. I've got a lot of special people to work with me, and I just got to say thanks to all of them. It's just fantastic.
Chad, you look like you're a very gifted person when it comes to working with your team and getting the work together. Is there any concerns now, after you've had so much success and 4 championships, to keeping this team together so you can go for 5?
I think that there's always headhunters out there. There's always people trying to pull your team in different directions. And I'll be honest with you, if somebody comes up to one of our guys and they approach them for a crew chief job or a car chief job, or if it's something that's going to benefit our guys, I will gladly take any one of those gentlemen that work for me, or ladies, and say, yes, go take your opportunity. If that's truly what you want to do, go do it, because I had to have that opportunity. I had to do it with Ray, and I would never ever hold anybody back. But I think think that what we've done is we've established a good nucleus, and I ran out of room. I could get without all on the same line there. but we've established a good nucleus, with Ron Malik and Greg Ives and a lot of those guys. And we expect some turnover because, people move up within our company, and we have to inject new people. So as those new people come in, our core group of guys, they teach them the way, and they understand the mentality of the 48. So if we lose a few people, that's fine. I think that we can come back next year and battle for this thing. But honestly, we can't even begin to think about the 2010 championship. We have to worry about Daytona and qualifying and all that stuff first.
Well, first, as a friend and former teammate, I just want to let you know I am incredibly proud of you and what you've done. I'm going to tell you, this guy has worked and worked and worked. When I hired him, he came in and I said, well, what do you want 5 years from now? He said, I want your job. I thought that was so cool. I hired him on the spot. Not only has he got the job, he's doing it way better than I did it. I got to ask you something. Tonight, though, I know that there's a lot going on. I know a lot of pressure in the race, but we heard something out of Jimmy that we don't normally hear out of him. Seemed like he got a little bit rattled. He got a little bit mad at a couple drivers.
Yeah.
Did you have to jump in and kind of calm things down?
And I think it's understandable. When you get yourself in a position like this and you're trying to battle for a championship in a track like this, I've got to say, what a fantastic race.
Yeah.
I mean, what a great race. And this place is so difficult because you can be faster than somebody, catch them, tenths of a second a lap faster than they are. Get to the point where you're underneath them and try to get the momentum to carry you off the corner, and they can stall you out like that. And you can lose a couple of spots. And that happened to us a couple of times. And I had to talk to him a little bit and kind of get him reeled back in. And Jimmy is so good at running a race and finding the tempo that it didn't take him long to get his wheels back underneath him and where we needed to be. And the thing that really helped us the most today, Ray, was the fact that our car was fast. It was really fast, and I wish that we could have really opened that thing up to see what it would have done.
Yeah. Chad, you, Ray, Rusty, you've all been through it. You've been through those championship deciding races. For people like myself and probably almost all the viewers who've never been in the middle of that, we see you sitting there on the pit box. You're calm, you're collected, but really, what's it like? Is the stomach in knots, or are you at a point now where that's not there anymore?
If it ever goes away, I won't be sitting on the box anymore.
Yeah.
Honestly, because that's why I'm there. I love doing what I do. I am the luckiest person in the world. I really am. I have never once woken up and said, man, I don't want to go to work today. Because I do what I truly love. I work on race cars, and that's I mean that's like a little kid, man, getting up to play in his toys the next morning. That's all it is, and that's I love what I do, and I have passion about it, and I want to win every race. So when I get on the pit box, that's what I want to do. Winning's great, but what I enjoy the most is figuring out how to win. I love that.
You figured out how to win. People know, okay, you've won 4 championships, but you've won championships in different types of race cars. From the old car, then a half a season with the old car, half a season with the new car, and now all new cars. How do you adapt to something like that?
That's cool, isn't it?
Yeah, real cool.
I'll be honest with you, and you know this as well as anybody, or better than anybody, Ray. I think that it has a lot to do with our support staff at Hendrick Motorsports. We have a group of 500-plus people over there that all they want to do is win races. That's it. And if you walk into Hendrick Motorsports, you see the attention to detail that every person puts into what they do. We have an immaculate complex. Everybody works hard. Everybody puts the same effort into it. If something comes on and we have to adjust, if we have to manipulate our cars, if we have to adjust to a different rule, whatever it is, boom, it's done. And it's awesome. And I think that, yes, I'm very fortunate to be the crew chief, but it's not me. It's the support staff and everybody we got back at HMS.
Alone in the record books. Congratulations. I hope you're able to take some time and enjoy it and savor it. And thank you for coming by. And again, congratulations on making history.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. And man, I hope we can come back here next year.
They figure it out after a while. Here's part of the post-race when we win the championship. Come on back, as we hope you can too. As the Jimmy Johnson team continues to celebrate, there were some other notable performances on Sunday at Homestead. We'll talk about those next. College basketball doubleheader Monday night on ESPN2, the O'Reilly Auto Parts CBE Classic from the Sprint Center in Kansas City. First game, Wichita State versus Pitt at 7:30 Eastern, followed by number 3 Texas taking on the Iowa Hawkeyes at 9:30 Eastern. It's all part of Feast Week, presented by Lowe's on ESPN2. And as we continue to wrap up the 2009 NASCAR Sprint Cup Series season, Nicole Mansky joins us now from the garage area where she can help us begin to turn the corner to 2010. Nicole?
You know, Alan, over the course of the past 4 years, many drivers, some with their own championship pedigrees, have tried to beat Jimmie Johnson. Drivers like Tony Stewart, Jeff Gordon, Kurt Busch, and Matt Kenseth. They've been able to beat him on any given Sunday, but it's over the course of many given Sundays that they have failed. But that has turned into priority one for 2010.
We can't take the approach, you know, going into next year that we got it. You know what I mean? Okay, we got it figured out, because I guarantee you that our competition will be working really hard to be better. And if we bring the same stuff that we have here today to California, we won't run very well.
You know, we've been building these cars, and we don't have a lot of them. And, you know, we've figured some stuff out suspension-wise, so we just got to keep pushing forward, and that's, you got to get ahead. And once you get ahead, you can't stop. You got to keep pushing.
You know, this chase has just made us stronger, because now I think everyone's focused and everyone is fired up about next year, knowing that we're one of the few guys that can run with that 48 every single week.
And running with the 48 for all of those drivers has become their goal for 2010. But you would think after the first 3 championships that not much would surprise Jimmie Johnson's fellow competitors. But it was this championship that has shocked and stunned some of them. Carl Edwards said this is the one that makes him a little bit awed by Jimmie Johnson. Alan?
All right, Nicole, thanks. As we look at who finished 2009 in a strong fashion, Kevin Harvick finished 3rd, best showing since early September when he was the runner-up at Atlanta. Martin Truex Jr. 9th in his final race with Earnhardt Ganassi Racing. He joins the Michael Waltrip team next year. And the Dinger scored a 10th place finish over the final 3 races. He had an 11th place average. No one finished the 2009 season more strongly than Denny Hamlin. The win here at Homestead, Miami tonight, capping off a pretty remarkable run he had at the end of the season. For Hamlin, a solid finish to 2009, leading us to look ahead to 2010. And will Hamlin be one of the guys vying for the title?
You know, we got to 2nd or 3rd, and we didn't have a race-winning car. We just, you know, had a few adjustments we had to fine-tune, and every stop we were changing 3 or 4 things, it seemed like. But, you know, we just weren't content with running 2nd or 3rd in the last race, and so we just threw some stuff at it. The second-to-last run had an awesome stop. We gained 3 spots or something like that on pit road. Got us out front. Weren't able to hold it, but it gave us information to go back on for that last run, and we took some of those adjustments out, and the car took off, and it was, you know, game over after that.
I always kind of almost feel bad for the guy that wins the final race of the year. It's so overshadowed by the championship. But this victory for Denny Hamlin Sunday night in Homestead was part of a building we've seen from this team lately.
Absolutely. I mean, this guy's had 4 wins this year. He's finished 5th in the points. I mean, at Texas, he was 2nd. He was 3rd at Phoenix, and he won this race here in Homestead. So you can see he's got a lot of momentum going on, and that's the reason he's so pumped up about next year.
Well, they're pretty strong. Mike Ford, veteran crew chief, worked for me also. One here with Bill Elliott. But what we've forgotten is that Denny outpointed the 48 car in 5 of the 10 chase races. He had 3 DNFs, which really hurt him. So if those guys, they're doing good on pit road, they're performing, they've got to find some consistency. He could be right in the thick of things next year.
And as Denny said, after the race on Sunday night, they've learned what they have to get better at to contend with the 48 for the championship next year. Now, most notable incident of Sunday night's race was the back and forth between Tony Stewart and Juan Pablo Montoya.
It was something to watch. There's no doubt about that. See Juan Pablo Montoya paying Tony Stewart back right here. Stewart slides, hits the wall just a little bit. A tough deal.
Tony Stewart and Juan Pablo Montoya had no comment on the incident after the race. Denny Hamlin did.
No, I think everyone's got a little fight in them every now and then, especially when they get, you know, done wrong or anything. You know, you know, after a performance today, it's easy to put yesterday behind me. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just maybe they looked at it and says, well, it's worth it. You know, I thought yesterday was worth it, and maybe he thought today was worth it. So I think it's something. I think that the sport, it's a self-policing sport. NASCAR does a really good job of letting us handle it. They don't want to get involved. I mean, but if it's something blatant, you know, they've got to do They don't have to, but they feel like they need to do something about it, or else they'll hear repercussions from fans saying, "Why didn't you, do anything about it?" So
that's good. You're good. He said no.
All right, I won't say anything else.
That's good. He's good, JD.
No,
They push you, kick them in the head.
J.D. Gibbs sitting next to Denny saying, okay, you're done. Thank you very much. Denny responding to a question of his payback to Brad Keselowski in Saturday's nationwide race, if that maybe opened the door and gave encouragement to other drivers to maybe encourage and be a little vigilante-like on the track.
Well, you can argue on both sides of it. You got safety and there's aggression and this and that. But I can tell you the people that are most disappointed that this season is over right now are the people that sell those tickets to the grandstand, because that's the kind of stuff that fills the seats.
Take a look at this right here. Let's watch Juan Pablo Montoya getting ready to retaliate against Tony Stewart. Stands on the throttle. Look at this. Bam!
Watch the hood buckle.
Oh, they just didn't fix the brakes after the wreck, Rusty. That's all.
42 car didn't stop too good, did it, Ray?
There's some mechanical difficulties. The 14 car had a steering problem, and the 42 car had a brake problem. That's all.
So we'll carry that one between the 14 and the 42 on to Daytona in February. Now, the last race of the season, always notable for things that come to a conclusion. Pat Tryson, crew chief for Kurt Busch, his last race. He goes on to Michael Waltrip Racing now. DeWalt's 10-year run of sponsorship with Matt Kenseth ended here. Jamie McMurray moves on from Roush Fenway Racing to the Earnhardt Ganassi team. Just some of many copy points on things that came to a conclusion at the end of the 2009 season at the Homestead Miami Speedway. Up next, we'll take a final look back at the races and places of the 2009 Sprint Cup season. We haven't even left Homestead yet, and we're looking ahead already to the start of the 2010 NASCAR racing season. First on-track action, the Budweiser Shootout, along with the season opener for ARCA February 6th. 8 days later, the Daytona 500, the NASCAR Hall of Fame opening in May, the Sprint All-Star race in May as well. Of course, Indianapolis in July. The Chase begins September 19th in New Hampshire next year, and it ends right here at this very racetrack next November 21st. Will it be Jimmy Johnson with a 5th consecutive championship? Season's over. Final thoughts on 2009, Mr. Wallace.
2009, what a fantastic season. We saw history. 4 championships thrown by Jimmy Johnson, and sentimental favorite Mark Martin. A lot of people thought he had a shot to get it, me included. I thought he was going to dominate the last race, just had handling issues, but what a great year it was. Watch those 2 cats run all year long. Man, it got to me. It was really strong.
Great stories again out of Hendrick Motorsports. 1, 2, 3 finish, 4 in a row for Jimmy. Great story bringing Mark back. Really made the season for me.
Saw the emergence of Juan Pablo Montoya as a force in stock car racing. Tony Stewart's move to Stewart-Haas Racing. Wow, what a season he had. So many stories from the 2009 season that we'll look back on. But no question, when the history books are finalized for this year, there'll be one story at the top of the stack. Jimmy Johnson and his team, led by crew chief Chad Knaus, accomplishing what no one has ever done before in the 61-year history of Cup-level racing, win 4 consecutive championships. The bid for 5 begins at Daytona in February, about 10 weeks away. We thank you for joining us for our NASCAR coverage throughout the season. We look forward to talking to you from Speed Weeks then. For our entire ESPN NASCAR crew, Alan Bestwick saying so long from Homestead with a look back at 2009. It's been quite a ride.
Every seat in the house is filled, the infield completely packed as race fans have come to Central Florida to kick off another NASCAR Sprint Cup racing season.
Only the 4th driver in NASCAR history to win the Daytona 500 and the next race.
Pop the champagne, Jeff Gordon. The losing drought is over.
Mark Martin has waited for 4 years to go back to victory lane, and he has done it.
Suddenly he's in the lead, but under attack. Contact here at the trioval. Edwards goes up in the air. Brad Keselowski comes by. He'll score the win, and the Aaron's 499.
Stewart has won for the first time as an owner.
Jimmy Johnson wins for the 6th time here in Martinsville.
Dominating performance will be punctuated with victory.
Absolutely fantastic effort, Jimmy. Absolutely fantastic.
Jimmy Johnson becomes a 3-time winner at the Brickyard 400.
We through our tears and pain. Here comes Tony Stewart. 3rd time this year he wins in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. Kyle blocks. Tony gets it to Kyle. He hits the wall. Tony Stewart is going to win the Coke Zero 400.
You got trouble getting in 3, guys.
And Joey Logano is around. Over, wheel-barreling. Now down the back straightaway. End over end, side over side. Trouble further back. Ryan Newman up and over off the end of the back straightaway.
For the 3rd year in a row in the fall, Jimmy Johnson wins at California.
Nice show, guys. Hell yeah.
You are the man, Johnson. You are the man.
You've got to be kidding me. Woo! You're a 3-time champion. This is the way you're supposed to race. Jimmy Johnson comes to the line, winning for the 7th time this year